So yeah, this week's kind of, this month's kind of character-y video. It's not going to be as detailed as usual, so you'll be glad to hear it's not going to be a long one. It's kind of the first film series I've done. Obviously see from the title it's the X-Men. I watched the cartoon briefly as a kid, and I'm not really a comic kind of person, so don't know much about them all from that sense of things. But we're primarily talking about the first 3 films, which were pretty great. Obviously we know what X-Men's about, really. It's about the prejudice against difference, in whatever form that takes, and kind of what marginalisation can do and create. Like, obviously, I mean, I'll go more into this when I speak about them, but obviously Xavier's your kind of Martin Luther King kind of going for the more peaceful kind of way, and then you've got Magneto. Eric is kind of more of a, so yeah, that's obviously makes X-Men quite an attractive and current kind of watch, and I understand they do this a lot through comics and stuff. I've just never really got into them. So anyway, we'll get into the video. So yeah, they're not going to be in any particular order, although they're kind of leaving the main till the end, if you get what I mean. So we'll start with Cyclops. Again, talking about the films, I don't know anything before anyone's, all these geeks trying to get on to me about it. Now Cyclops in the film is he's your stereotypical all-American hero, isn't he? He's good looking, he's buff, he's always the good guy, he's all smooth and charming and wonderful and saves everyone and all of that kind of jazz. Him and Wolverine have a bit of friction, but not massively. I suppose they're both interested in the same woman, and it causes a bit of friction. And he does take the pee out of Cyclops a bit, but that's what he's meant to be, isn't it, in the films? I don't know his background before anyone says. And he's a smooth kind of, what do they call him, jock kind of guy. Now he's Cyclops. So what am I going to go for? Well, it's so obvious, isn't it? As a beam of light comes out of his eyes and kind of blinds everyone, and it's a laser practically, isn't it? Reflection. Of course it was Mas Milano's reflection. A big, bright, massive beam of light. Reflection is yellow. Cyclops' eye thing is red, isn't it? But whatever. That's probably to do with the light thing. I'm not going to get into science, but yeah, it's yellow, and it's primarily just a big mimosa, a bright, massively sunshiny mimosa, and blindingly almost, and it smells very fresh, it's very soapy, it's very clean, which also kind of matches Cyclops' personality, doesn't it? The kind of clean, all-American good guy. So I'll keep it as brief as that. That is reflection for Cyclops. Next up is in kind of for a bit of fun, but I don't know, I have a bit of a soft spot for Anna Paquin or whatever her name is. Don't know why. She's kind of like Juliette Lewis without the kind of personality or the acting skills or the charm. But I don't know, I think she's cute, I suppose, and obviously she plays Rogue. Now Rogue is, she's supposed to be young in the films. I'm trying to think, it was 20 years ago. I don't even think she was that, roughly probably about the same age as me. No, whatever, anyway, she's supposed to be some kind of, going through that kind of teen angst, but she discovers her powers quite an unlucky power for somebody that age, isn't it? When you're experimenting with boys and all of that. Yawn. And her power, well, as we all know, it's not her power, whatever. her thing is she kind of drains the life out of people by touching them. Sounds like a lot of my exes done it, but anyway, she's yeah, and she's just youthful and whatever. And the fragrance I've picked for her, yes, like I say, none of my videos are overly serious or anything, is Initio's Oud for Greatness. Now that fragrance literally would drain the life out of anyone within a 1 or 2 mile radius. Big, sweet, overbearing lavender, sugary sweet under this cacophony of sticky notes and density. And it's beast mode though. That's why it's worth 300 quid. It's beast mode, you know, and it lasts about 7 years. What a fragrance that is. What a magnificent creation. So yeah, that's why I've picked Oud for Greatness for Rogue, because she kind of saps the life out of everyone, much like the fragrance does. Next up is Jean Grey / Phoenix. Now then, I'm not going to go too into Phoenix, more the Jean Grey side of her. And Jean Grey is, obviously Phoenix is practically a god, she's the most powerful of them all, isn't she really? But we're going to stick with, yeah, a more kind of gentle Jean Grey, who's a very assertive, strong character. She's kind of one of the leaders, if you like. She's played brilliantly in these films by Famke Janssen, and then for no apparent reason on earth, they've picked Sophie Turner in the kind of rehashed versions. Someone who has literally no gravitas, acting skills, or anything about her whatsoever. Like a glass of water that's been spilt onto some, I don't know, some other nondescript material. She's a puddle. And yeah, a really weird decision to replace Famke Janssen. Anyway, that's not what I was talking about. Jean Grey, like, yeah, she's a leader. She's assertive. She's quite, you know, she's got 2 men after her, so I suppose she's quite sultry and whatever. She's very assertive, and she's quite brilliant, isn't she? I'm not going to talk about Phoenix, like we said. And what I've picked for her is La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto from Guerlain. And this is because, again, it's kind of got, it's the darker leather, it's the darker woods, the lovely muskiness, that sweet level of darkness. There's licorice in there, I think, isn't there, a little bit? And yeah, it's dark and kind of sultry and assertive, and then there's that little sweet kind of very nice cherry in there. But again, cherry's that little bit of danger, that little bit of Phoenix might poke through kind of a thing about it. And yeah, I don't need to waffle on loads about it. So for Jean Grey is Guerlain's La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfect. Next up is Storm. Now Storm is a really interesting character, obviously again another kind of leader, and very strong kind of forthwith character, and she's played by Halle Berry in the films. Yeah, you know, it's Halle Berry. Do I need to say more about that? Well, obviously Storm represents, she's got a power of being able to control the weather to a point, obviously create storms, hence the name. And she's got this big gravitas about her. Again, people follow her. She's assertive, and people admire and follow her, kind of thing. And I think when they do the rehash, she's a little bit moody or whatever. I don't know. Well, I suppose, you know, that represents Storm, doesn't it? The great kind of emotional thing, and she is the supportive one of all of them. She is the one that people talk to and such like. But anyway, don't want to waffle on and on and on. For Storm, I have picked Bouquet Encore. Now I know that sounds like a weird one, but to me, like I said, it's kind of orangey, kind of orange blossomy sunset. There's no orange blossom, it would be the tuberose on it and that. And it's also got this big, huge pepper in it, this big warm blast of spice. And it could be a storm, it could be the orange skies rolling away and the black clouds coming over and the flashes of lightning and the and the rain and such like. Not just with that, but that kind of warm feel, that close kind of sticky storm that we sometimes get that doesn't solve the humidity and that. And I think it's a great fragrance for storm, so why not? Again, not going to waffle on. So from Le Costa de Parfums, Bouquet Encore. Next up is a character who's close to both the kind of main folks of it, Magneto and Xavier, and that's Mystique. And because she's kind of torn between these two, she sees both sides of the argument, and in the end, because, well, in the story in the later films, she's kind of got a bit of feelings for Professor X, but he kind of spurns her, so she goes to Magneto, gives her the attention. She's kind of wanting just to be loved and accepted the way she is, because her kind of thing is to, well, what do you call it, camouflage, you know, like a bit like a chameleon, to skin change and what have you. And obviously her natural state, she's got blue skin, and well, she's a great looking lass, let's be fair. Rebecca Romijn, is it? Yeah. So she's kind of a bit of a sad character, the right word? It's a character who's very complex with a lot of levels and stuff, and deeply emotional. And I could have gone for so many fragrances with this, but the one I've gone for is not predictable, but it's predictable as in one of my videos, is Killian's Rolling in Love, because it's the musky skin, it's the it's that kind of it's almost a fragrance that, if you like, sets you at ease, makes you feel kind of romantic, happy, cozy a little bit. And obviously Mystique, because of her skin, it's to please people, isn't it, generally, as well as other things, which is, it's quite sad for her. But that is ultimately what Rolling in Love is. It's a skin scent, isn't it? It's a musky, beautiful, soft skin scent that you only really notice when you get close to it again, I guess. And it's something you'd wear and do for yourself, which again fits Mystique perfectly, doesn't it, really? And she's a great character, and she sacrifices a lot and does a lot for what she believes is right. And yeah, a great powerful character again. So that's Mystique, and that's Killian's Rolling. So I told you it was going to be a brief one. Now getting closer to the kind of the mainer characters and close to the end. Maybe he's a mainer character because he's one of the biggest actors. But that's Wolverine, Logan, and that's played by why does this happen? We all know who he is, the Australian very handsome guy. Of course, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I knew I'd get there eventually. Anyway, Wolverine is kind of fucking. So yeah, he's your kind of stereotypical American bad boy, ex-military, doesn't have a heart, doesn't love anyone. Yeah, he's a bit rough and ready, ex-serviceman and all of that, but really does have a heart of gold, and all the ladies follow him and all the men want to be him. He's a good, compassionate, caring leader, almost like a father figure to some of them. Blah blah blah. We all like Wolverine. Logan, if you haven't watched that film, is one, never mind X-Men wise, I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen, actually. I think that was brilliantly done about the end of Legends and stuff like that. But anyway, get back to this. Wolverine, his power isn't actually what his power is. It is not the claws and the metal, the adamantium, is it, coming out of him? It's the healing, actually. But obviously, you know, dodgy military experimenting on him, making him into a weapon and all that jazz malarkey. But anyway, he's quite a broken man. Obviously he's done some bad things, well, forced to do some bad things in his life and such like. He's quite bitter, he doesn't really trust anyone. Kind of, yeah, very stereotypical character. And he's also, he is quite thoughtful, and he does want the best, which is why he kind of ends up on the Xavier side. He obviously wants to find out what's happened to him, what's been blocked and deleted from his memories and such like. Now what I've gone for him is an obvious one, That's from One Way Bridge, and that's Top Shelf. Of course it was going to be Top Shelf. Rugged, hairy man, a little bit of a bad boy, you know. He's always drinking and knocking back the old booze. All the ladies want him because of his bad boy, I don't care attitude, and you know, that's kind of what Top Shelf's based on. I wonder if Elisa's kind of early days crush was a kind of Hugh Jackman Wolverine when she was thinking of this. But the fragrance could be him. Do you know what I mean? It could have been made and based all around him. It's got all the kind of dark muskiness, a bit sweaty man. You know, he's in his leathers. He's obviously hard working. He's very active, very athletic. You know, as well as all the rugged good looks and charm and everything. Yeah, I do have a bit of a man crush on Hugh Jackman, full stop. I think he's perfect for the role. He's a good actor, isn't he? Anyway, we're getting off piste here. So yeah, for Wolverine, Logan is One Way Bridge's Top Shelf. Next is Professor X, or Xavier. Now he's played by Patrick Stewart, who we all love. What a legend of an actor. The fact they got these two legendary actors in this is amazing, isn't it? But yeah, Xavier's kind of, he's the leader who believes that they can come together with the humans, or the bigots and the people who judge him and are scared of them because they're different and powerful and all of that jazz. And his gift is, can he stop time as well as reading minds? It's kind of like telekinesis sort of stuff. He's a very powerful kind of X-Men, along with Phoenix, who obviously gets all sorts of different powers and that. But anyway, yeah, Xavier can control minds and stuff as well. He's quite powerful, and his kind of backstory is, you know, I suppose he trusted them. He wanted to come some sort of arrangement. He brought them out from hiding, only to be kind of stabbed in the back by the idiots who kind of were scared and didn't understand. Hang on, I just made myself very muddy. And what fragrance have I picked for Xavier? Well, again, it was quite a difficult one, because obviously he is ultimately so powerful and his character is so important. And I've kind of gone for another indie one from April Aromatics, and it's called Erdenstern, which translates as Earth Star. I think that everything about it, kind of spiritual, kind of almost kind of omniscient, isn't it? Where character to have a fragrance like that. Now this is it's quite a spiritual fragrance. Has it got cloves in? It's a very kind of woody, resinous, sort of ambery one that you can imagine, you know, like smelling quite spiritual. It's got some beautiful muskiness about it. It's very calm. It's like a calm, woody, resinous one, and that's what Xavier is. He's ultimately a very calming, reassuring kind of person. Well, again, we're talking about the Patrick Stewart kind of era, although later on a great actor to play him. Well, yeah, Erdenstern for Professor X just suits that kind of almost godly, reassuring, fatherly kind of figure, and it's a great fragrance. Finally is obviously Magneto, Eric Lenscher, who's had quite a dark life. I mean, he started off being his family and himself being taken to a Jewish, well, as a Jew, to a concentration camp, and obviously with his powers coming out, the Germans were, you know, quite interested in this. His ability is to control metal, which you've got to think metal's in practically everything, and it's quite a powerful kind of thing. And I had to go for a more metallic kind of fragrance, and what I picked for that is, it could have been a few, and I thought didn't want a cold one, so I've gone from Visionary Eye from Juicebox, which has this kind of similarity to Reflection Man, to kind of give you that idea, which is like the reflective metal, isn't it? It's kind of shiny crystallized jasmine and other aromatic notes in there. It's sage and things like that, which give it this almost metallic grey blue sheen. And this one's maybe more grey than Reflection Man. It's grey silver, and it's also very classy, very charming, very kind of seductive and all of that, which of course Magneto is. He's got this certain gravitas and charm. He's not a bad guy. It's more complicated than that. He's a very angry guy at everything that's been done to him and his people, if you like, and he's very defensive of them. He's very vengeful. That's where he falls down, and his anger and what have you. Obviously him and Professor X were great friends, are great friends. There's a great mutual respect, and I don't think he'd ever do anything. You kind of get that thing, they're the yin yang. I don't think he'd do anything to truly hurt Professor X. He's also a little bit manipulative because he needs to be to get where he is, and he's the one who's not shy. He's like a more arrogant god, like a vengeful god, like a god I am better than you, you must do such and such, much like, you know, a kind of Christian god idea. If you don't do this, I've had enough of you, goodbye, kind of thing. So that's, and this one kind of has that smooth crystalline coldness. It's not overly cold, like I said, for that reason, and it is kind of a bit of an opposite to what that Erdenstern what I picked for Professor X, because that's a very warm, reassuring, cuddly kind of one, whereas with Magneto it's kind of cold, calculating, deeply focused, kind of smooth one. So yeah, that's going on and on and on. That is Visionary Eye from Justbox for Magneto. This was an exceptionally short one of my character ones, wasn't it, really, for me? And I think I kind of got to the point really quite early on. One of my favourite film trilogies, obviously. Anything with Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart in is going to be utterly fantastic, isn't it, really? And it's a great film series. Watch them all. I've watched all of them as it happens, actually, from the spin-offs and the reboots. A bit sad with some of the terrible actors they got in the reboot. But I suppose it's moving with the times and going with people that are popular, whether they have any acting skills or gravitas to them at all. It's whatever, innit, really. It's up to them. Obviously having James McIlvoy and Michael Fasbender saves it. But anyway, that's a big waffle. How would you send these characters? Are you a big X-Files fan? Who's your favourite X-Man, X-Men person? X-person, I suppose it would be now, wouldn't it? Alright, thanks folks, bye.